Okay, so here I am narrating this video, as it were, of me preparing a billet. And I know it's hard to believe, but no, this is not Edward James Olmos. It is not Morgan Freeman. It is yours truly, Salem Straub, describing to you in real time what I'm doing. Now here I'm using a straight edge made out of an old chipper blade and an adjustable square to set my plasma cutoff the right distance from the edge, so that I'll end up with an 1.25 inch wide strip, which will match the width of my 1080 stock. Now I wouldn't be using just any old saw blade. Some of them that you're going to find aren't necessarily 15 and 20. I'd like to know what I'm using. However, a bunch of this blade that I got has still got the Uda Home bandsaw steel logo visible on it. And in this thickness, they only make that out of 15 and 20, so I feel good about it. And it welds up great and creates nice shiny lines. Heat treats well. I like it. Now you can see about how long a cut takes in real time. Now we're doing it in 4x, just to kind of cut the tedium of watching the whole process. Just keep scooting it out a little bit, resetting the clamps, checking with straight edge. I'm pretty fastidious about the width on this, as I really don't like wasting material. Over time it costs a lot. Boy, I sure wish I could cut that stuff this fast in real life. Now this is 90 thousandths thick material I got from my friend Jared Todd at JT Knives. Look him up, he sells this stuff too. Tell him I sent you. Looks like we're about done. I cut 6 strips for most billets. I cut each one of those strips in half, so I end up with 12 strips. And I'll explain that as we move along here into the next section. Okay, over here at the anvil, I've got the strips that I just cut, and I am taking the slag off. I find that unlike with oxy-ace cutting and with a lot of different welding stuff, slag removal for plasma cutting really works a lot better. Not with a chipping hammer, but with just a regular old hammer, just kind of smacking on the edge of the cut piece. I like to pop as much of that off as possible. It kind of saved me some grinding and some abrasive belt usage. And, it comes off pretty quick. It doesn't take too much pounding. I worked at a job where we did this all day long, using needle scaler and everything. Boy, I don't miss that. You get used to it. And looks like at hyperspeed we're almost done already. Moving on to the grinder at this point to take the rest of that off. Okay, right now I am beginning the process of cutting some of the rough ends off of the 15 and 20 strips. And my chop saw, this is a 10-inch dual abrasive saw. It's actually a lot more powerful than a lot of the 14-inch contractor grade chop saws you can find at big box stores. This is not a brush motor, it's got a 3 horsepower Valdor motor in it. It'll really go through hardened steel. I use Flexicate abrasive blades, and they cut a lot better than basically anything else I've found. Saves me a lot of time. So I cut all of the teeth off of one end there, and I can smack them down together, make the ends parallel. Put them all in the saw vise together, clamp that up, and just chop all of those teeth off at once. Yeah, this saw will just cut like butter through. I think the biggest thing I cut so far was 2-inch hydraulic rod with it, and maybe some quite big billets, and it just goes right on through with those flexible wheels. Okay, now I've got 6 strips that are the same length. They're 11 inches in some. And we're on to the next thing. And here we go at the belt grinder. This is my main grinder. I built it myself. It's 3 horsepower, variable speed. I'm running a 12-inch contact wheel on it right now. I find that a contact wheel, saves some wear and tear on the machine and the grinder, as opposed to platinum grinding whenever possible. So I'm using that with a pretty worn-out ceramic belt just to rough off most of the plasma cut edge there. The rest of it will come off as scale in the welding and drawing process. And I'm also deburring the ends and quickly roughing the entire surface of the piece, corrosion free, so it'll weld up readily. And this particular chunk of blade is pretty bright and shiny still, just a few spots of rust. So it really doesn't take much cleanup on the grinder to get it nice. If it's a rustier blade, I tend to throw it on the surface grinder and take about 4 thou off per side, clean it up well enough for grinding. Although I've heard that rust itself is not necessarily a bad inhibitor in terms of preventing welding, especially when you are using an atmospheric welding process rather than a heavy fluxing process. But I'll get a little bit more into that later in the forge welding sequences. Right now I'm just working at hyperspeed. I got that little hand vise there, which holds a lot more squarely and tighter than a vice grip. For the most part, doesn't let that thing pivot in your hand. I'm using a push block to back up the steel in my hand. That way I can grind as hard as I want to and not worry about burning my fingers or anything like that. Got a spark bucket down there below me, and usually I'd be using a respirator, but it's extremely hot in the shop right now, and frankly I look like a goof wearing it. So you won't see me wearing a respirator, but you will see safety glasses and a lot of earmuffs throughout this video, because I do believe in protecting oneself against the rigors of this trade. Okay, soapbox rant is over on safety right now, and we are moving on to the next thing, I believe. And watch me take this stretch off that belt. I don't like to leave them on the machine. Okay, what I've just gone to do was mark halfway on those pieces of 15 and 20. I've evened up the ends. I put them in the vise together on the cutoff saw. So I'll be chopping them all exactly in half at the same time. Once I get the vise tight, I take a wrench and use the cutoff stop, basically creating a record of the length I cut the 15 and 20 off to, so that when I put my bar of 1080 through, it'll come off exactly the same length as the 15 and 20 pieces, saving some waste. Now I've got 12 pieces, which are probably 5 3/4 long or so. Every time it works out a little bit different. You never know about the teeth on those saw blades. So now I'm reaching around there for a bar of 1080. I get this stuff from my friend Kelly Couples. He's a great steel supplier, has good stuff, good prices, great shipping policy. He's quick, can't say enough good about him. This is 3/16 thick, 1.25 wide, 1080 steel. I do the majority of my forge welding with that in 3/4B. I like it at 3/16 inch thick, because if I double up my 15 and 20, then that reaches about the same thickness as one layer of this 1080. And I like to run about a 50-50 mix of bright and dark lines. Now we're back at the grinder for just a minute here, and this time it's just to lightly deburr the cut ends of that bar of 1080. I got 7 pieces now, and I like to just take the little tags off the ends from cutting. That way when I consolidate them with the 15 and 20 inch billet, the ends turn out nice and square and stuff. And that's that. Goes over nice and quick. Again, detensioning that belt, don't want it stretching out weird. Here we are at the surface grinder. And this is quite the machine. I got it I guess a couple years ago now, but I've only had it converted to run grinding belts for, I don't know, like 6 months. And it's really changed the whole machine. It wasn't that useful before except for maybe folder work, but now it has a big place in my billet prep work. Just roughing scale off the surfaces of stock and things and flattening. It's become a lot faster and cooler grinding of a machine with the belt conversion, and it's convenient because it uses the same 2x72 belts that my main belt grinders do. So when a belt gets a little haggard for my manual grinders over there, and then I just pop on over and use them to death on the surface grinder. You can see I'm just turning on the mag chuck right now, checking right now to make sure that they're on there solid. You don't want anything loose. I got that little piece of 15 and 20 behind them to back them up in case anything wants to cup and pull away from the stone. Turning the spindle on. Now this machine runs off of my VFD2, so I can really dial in the spindle speed to be whatever I want it to be. I run it at 60 hertz, so it's kind of the normal speed that it was created to run at. But if I haven't run it during the day yet, I need to warm up the bearing a little bit. I'll run it at like quarter speed for a little while, just oiling, running the bearing oiler to warm up the spindle gently. Now here I am dialing in some down feed. I found the surface, and I'm going to dial in 5 thousandths more after that. That almost always takes off all of the scale unless there's a little bend or a dip in a piece. I've started the automatic cable moving. Now I'm adjusting the stops out so it covers the entire length of the piece. There we go. Now I have to reach down and engage the Y feed to kick over a certain amount for every pass. Once it starts doing that, we'll see it throwing a big rooster tail of sparks out here on the next pass. It really throws a lot of sparks. 3 horsepower machine. Just really cuts in that powerfully. And I can take 20 thousandths off per pass without really the machine noticing it in terms of spindle power. It's just that the stock begins to heat up quite a lot if I'm taking that much off at once, and it begins to cup and pull away from the mag chuck a little bit. You don't want that. Here's the Y feed wheel. I've got it running with the adjustment at about 100 thou step over per pass. And now we go into warp speed. If you don't want to watch 5 minutes of this, it really doesn't take very long to cover the entire side, and I can walk away and do other stuff while it's doing it. Pretty dang handy. Matter of fact, I prepped my billet handle while shooting this video while this thing was running. So that's nice. Okay, we got one side finished. Turn the spindle off, cranking the table over. Should have adjusted the camera here. We're at this funky angle trying to watch me work for a minute. What I'm doing is I've turned the mag chuck off. I'm pulling those pieces off. And I'm dusting them off a little bit wiping the table down, scraping some of the swarf off of it. That way we don't get an errant piece of grinding swarf or anything under one of our pieces that have one precision flat side on them when we put them back on the mag chuck. And as I put the pieces back on, you'll see that I'm only putting 5 of the original 7 back on because 2 of those pieces don't need the other side ground. They'll be the outsides of the billets, and they're just going to scale back up anyway. So I figure anytime you can not have to grind some of your precious material away, so much the better. So we got all that up. Again, the 15 and 20 stop there at the end, just to make sure nothing shoots off the chuck in case anything goes wrong. Checking to make sure it's down tight. All this stuff gets to be like autopilot once you grind a few chucks full of material. Dialed in 5/1000ths more down on the spindle. Didn't need to find the surface this time because I already know where it's at, having just ground the other side. Back into hyperspeed. You see the little mechanical dog clicking back and forth there. And we're done with that side. Okay, we are on to welding here. I've got my Airco CV300 300 amp MIG welder fired up. You can hear it in the background. I've just put down 1 layer of 1080, one that has scale on one side still. I'm smacking some 15 and 20 pieces apart. I'm going to put 2 of them on top of that 1080, and some more 1080 on top of that, and then more 15 and 20, and so on and so forth. Well, I've got a nice stack of built up alternating layers. I just treat the double layers of 15 and 20 as a single layer since they become the same thickness as the 1080. So it makes a 13 layer billet in all, with the outsides being 1080. I like to run whatever material is thicker. I like that to be on the outside of both sides. You don't want thin material on the outside of your billet if you can help it. It likes to turn into lettuce when you heat it up. Tapping the ends nice and square. Get your clamps set just so. This type of welding clamps are nice. I've used drill press vices and things like that for this, but I like being able to pivot the clamp a little bit out of the way, but it's still hanging onto the material I want to. And I'm just going to go ahead and run some bead on it. Got that good speed glass helmet there. Pretty sold on those. And we're just running 035 wire at, I don't know, something like 19 volts with Blue Shield argon mix gas, argon CO2 mix. We're going to run a little bit of bead, a couple beads down both ends. Speed it up a little bit. Bead down the middle of each side just to keep the thing from blowing. Again, you heat that thing up in the fire, the outside layers will heat up quicker and fall away from the inner layers, and you'll never get them to weld again. It's a real bummer. Later I'll be grinding those side beads off hot after the first forge weld series. So that's a nice packet right now, clean inside, welded up tight on the outside. We're going to set it vertical. That billet handle I prepped earlier while surface grinding. It's a chunk of number 5 bar, I believe. We'll set that on top of there. It's got a nice beveled end now. That way the weld can kind of penetrate to the core of that rebar handle. If you don't do that, sometimes you get your handle falling off in the middle of the heat, and that is a real bummer. You can weld them back on hot, but you don't want to have to. like to build a pretty nice thick bead and get it to penetrate well onto the end of that billet. So that thing is nice and solid and ready to go into the fire right now.